Welcome into another edition of BamaCentral 3 and Out. And we're so happy to actually have three of us here again. Joey is back in town with Tony Sukalis and Joey Blackwell. I'm Katie Wyndham. And guys, once again, kind of looking forward to football season in Tuscaloosa, even though there's still a lot more going on. There's been a little bit of news surrounding the football team this week, but one thing we haven't had the chance to talk about yet is some of the quarterbacks that Alabama is going to face this year. So, Tony, who do you think is going to be the most talented quarterback that they'll face, or maybe the quarterback that's going to give the Alabama defense the most fits?
I'm going to start with a quarterback that did give Alabama fits last season, and it's KJ Jefferson. Last season he was 22 of 30 for 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Alabama fans remember that game. It was a 42-35. It was a little bit less close than the score indicated, but it was still one of those games where Arkansas just wouldn't go away. A lot of that had to do with KJ Jefferson, and he has everything that, typically gives Alabama trouble. He can run. I still think he's more of a passer, but he can run with the ball if he needs to. He is losing his best receiver in Treylon Burks, and I think that's a guy that really tore apart Alabama last season. I think Treylon Burks, what did he have? 179 yards and 2 touchdowns against Alabama. They don't have to deal with him, but they do have to deal with Jaden Hasselwood, who's a transfer, a former top 5 recruit coming in from Oklahoma. So I think Arkansas is still going to have a formidable offense, and with KJ Jefferson at the quarterback position, it's going to be in Arkansas this year. I think that could be a tough one for Alabama. That'd definitely be my pick.
Yeah, Tony, I actually agree with you with KJ Jefferson. I think that's a really solid pick there. I think he is going to give Alabama problems, but I think another quarterback that could potentially give Alabama fits this year is Hendon Hooker from Tennessee. 5 weeks into the season last year, he took over the starting job from Joe Milton and went on to pass for almost 3,000 yards and over 30 touchdowns. He also had over 600 rushing yards on 167 carries. So this is a guy that can hit you where it hurts, whether it be via the air or on land. Last year against Alabama, he was 19 of 28 with 282 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and just 1 interception. Alabama, of course, won that game 52-24, but that wasn't because of Hendon Hooker's fault at all. He also has his leading receiver in Cedric Tillman coming back, so he does have his weapons. So I think Hooker really has a chance to do well against Alabama. Now, of course, the rest of the Tennessee offense will have to step it up because they are playing a really stout Alabama defense. But Hooker, no doubt, presents some problems for Alabama this year.
Yeah, and Joey, I think you brought up a good point there at the end about this Alabama defense. It's returning a lot of guys. It should be pretty experienced. But to me, that's something interesting, Tony, about the Arkansas game is this year it's earlier in the season than it has been in the past. Last year, I think it was game 10. I think this year it's game 5. So the Alabama defense, especially in the secondary, is going to have to, have figured some things out by that point, which, obviously they've already played some big games, but really not outside of Texas. The schedule is pretty soft before that Arkansas game. And so it'll be a big test. I think I agree with both of y'all. Those are probably the 2 quarterbacks are going to present the biggest problems for Alabama. But another one last year that did and ultimately beat them was Zach Calzada, who is now at Auburn. So, the Iron Bowl is in Tuscaloosa this year, not quite as tricky of a place to play for Alabama in the Iron Bowl as Jordan Hare has been for the last couple of years under Saban, but of course, another name to keep an eye on. But that'll about do it for us for Wednesday's 3 and Out. For Joey Blackwell and Tony Sukalis, I'm Katie Wyndham. Thanks for watching.